So what is simpler living? What is it? What does it mean? What does it mean for me? I found it incredibly difficult to try and actually put this together in a clear way. But this is what I've come up with after many attempts and much thinking about it. It encompasses all parts of my life, every bit of who I am. It's about my beliefs, my thoughts, my feelings, and about how I connect with the wider world. And it's something that I aspire to. It's not something that I've just got, oh yes, tick, done. No, it's more than that. It's a work in progress, and it's probably a journey that I'll be on for the rest of my life. It's an urge to get to the parts of life that really matter. So taking off all the superfluous layers and really seeking that, what really matters in life, and what is life really about, and just sort of in all aspects coming down to that. That's what I'm seeking with it, I think. For each of us, I think it's very different. So a lot of the things that for me add up to simpler living, I'm talking about in these videos or showing in the videos that I do. For you, simpler living might mean something entirely different because you've got a different life and you're a different person, but I still think the overarching principles of it are useful for anybody. So the asking questions, the really sort of seeking and looking at life and trying to see what the real truth of it is, making up our own minds or your own mind about things, and then with that information deciding how you want life to be. So it's living true to yourself. So now I'm including a couple of clips from yesterday when I was trying to put into words what simpler living meant for me. I think they're useful to include because they do give a little bit more depth here and there, which might be of interest. I hope so. Okay, so yeah, we're on a simpler living journey together. It's about paring life back in some ways, but actually opening it up in other ways. And it's about getting back to the things that really matter in life, not how you look, the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the house you live in, the university you went to, the degree you've got. It's not about those things. And a lot of the things that we've done to life as humans is we've really made it complicated, and we've got away from the true essence of life and what feels good, and we're losing track of what it feels like to be human. And it's that kind of living. That's what I mean by simpler living. So I mean letting a lot of this superfluous stuff go, and you just put it all down and let it go, and then you have a lot of time for other things. And and I think you can do that wherever you live and whoever you are. And it's about appreciating life, but the essence of life, the very essence of it, and I think the absolute essence of life is love. And that is love in all its forms, not just romantic love and it's friendships, it's love for the earth, it's love for other people wherever they are and whoever they are, and all the other beings that live on this earth with us. So an all-encompassing love, and I think that is at the basis of life and being alive and what's really important. And that might sound a little bit, maybe a little bit heavy, a little bit too much for some, maybe a little bit on the edge, but that's what I believe. And one part of simpler living is taking the time like now to hear the bird song. Obviously I'm making a video now, it's a bit different, but I often do take the time just to sit here. I can hear the birds, I can see the sun in the trees, I can see the chickens in the background scratching away in the forest garden. And I think a simpler life can also be a very full life, but it's not full in the way that the traditional Western view of having a full life is. And it's not always an easy life, I would say that as well. I think sometimes it's quite challenging actually. And I think that sometimes it's challenges that we miss in life as well. The challenge is to solve problems ourselves, to do practical things, to be creative, to think round a problem. So it's not always just, it's not all about just sitting and doing nothing. I do think that's an important part of it, but it's not all that. For me, there's a strong environmental element to it. So it's very much based along permaculture principles, and that is caring for people, caring for the earth, and having our fair share, or my fair share, of resources. And that's something. So those sort of principles. So that's one sort of way of looking at simple living. It's also very much about nature and connecting with nature. I also want to be connected to the world, so even though I live here in rural France and it's very isolated in many ways, the fantastic thing is that we do have the internet and things like YouTube, which is probably why I'm interested in doing this kind of thing, because it connects me to the world. I'm not just lost in France, I'm actually out in the world as well, even if it's in this fashion. Anyway, I've tried the best I can to explain what I mean by simpler living, and in the process I've realised that it's quite complicated.